The Associated Press sent out 11 reporters to fact-check Sara Palin's new book. Today is November 16, 2009. Here's what's in the news today. I was at a protest a couple months ago outside of Jim Webb's office against socialized medicine. Well, it turns out a Google Maps car drove by and took some photos of us. So now if you go to Jim Webb's office on Google Maps and zoom in, you actually see pictures of our protest. So Jim Webb's office is now a permanent Tea Party protest. Check the link over in the sidebar. It's hilarious. In other news, Al Gore was speaking in Florida, and finally there were 200 protesters protesting outside against him. Turns out the American people are realizing that Al Gore is full of nonsense. And speaking of Al Gore, there was a cartoon talking about Sara Palin's twittering, and on Al Gore's television show, it called Sara Palin a twilf. It's a good thing we're bringing up the standard of discourse in America. Oh, I even got another Al Gore story for you. Supposedly Newsweek admitted that there were 74% of letters written in that were critical about Al Gore, and guess how many it showed? None of them. And speaking of bringing up the standard discourse, Representative Jim Moran of Virginia claims that anyone who disagrees with having Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in a civilian court in New York City rather than a military tribunal because he's not a United States citizen, he's a terrorist, and he helped mastermind the 9/11 attacks, well, he's actually said you're un-American. There it is for discourse. In my last video, I brought up the fact that Barack Obama bowed to the Japanese emperor, and essentially no leaders around the world ever bowed to the Japanese emperor. It was actually such a faux pas that some Japanese newspapers didn't even show the photo. Check the link over in the sidebar. And speaking of Barack Obama, if you'll remember the last couple of videos, I've been talking about the totally fake job numbers. You know, those saved or created millions of jobs or whatever the new number is every day. Well, it turns out they had to scrap, 60,000 of those numbers because people were false reporting the numbers, or a lot of the numbers that were reported were totally bogus. Well, anyone could have told you that. The stimulus was a total disaster from the start. Most of the money's never going to be spent. If it is going to be spent, it's going to be spent on Democratic pet projects that have been going on for years and shady backdoor deals. It doesn't do anything for the economy other than bankrupt this entire nation. And lastly, the Associated Press sent out 11 reporters to fact-check Sara Palin's book. They evidently couldn't think of anything better to fact-check, like what's in the stimulus package, what's in the new 2,000-page health care bill. They didn't fact-check Al Gore's book. I mean, this was brought up by other people that just are realizing all the things that the journalists could have looked at. And even so, it turns out that most of the fact-checking needs to be fact-checked because it's wrong. Check the analysis of all the fact-checking or the fact-checking in the sidebar. So leave a comment at the bottom and let me know what you think the Associated Press should be using its reporters to fact-check. I'll show the best comments in my next video. And in my last video, I asked what you think should be done to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. So here are the best comments from that video. So, rate this video even if you hate it, put in your favorites if you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I got all the links in the sidebar as usual. Today is November 16th, 2009, and that's how the world works.